Okay, let's let's look at that Digital Circus episode trailer, shall we? Let's finally look at it. I know I'm a little bit late to this one, but I've been sick. I went traveling, and I caught a travel bug of some kind. I think it was just a cold, but it was a pretty nasty cold. It knocked me out for several days, and then it kind of killed my voice for several more days, and then it sort of became bronchitis, which is currently sitting at the base of my lungs, rather restricting the airflow I get, which, you know, you kind of need oxygen when you talk as much as I do. So there might be a cough or two that happens over the course of this. I can't really do anything about it, but at least I don't sound like, you know, like I don't sound like I'm fucking speaking through an ashtray or whatever anymore. So we can talk. Hooray. This is the Digital Circus Episode 8 trailer, and we're going to start by looking at the thumbnail, which is this. Caine in front of a door and, like, you know, sky, and then there seems to be, like, a little stairway up there. Well, that's an interesting, like, abstract bit of imagery. Wrong! It's the Truman Show. So the specific explicit reference that's being made here is to The Truman Show. If you've never watched it, it's a very good movie. You should go and watch it. It's disturbingly prescient in the way that it approaches what media is. In the movie, Truman is a guy who's trapped inside of a fake virtual world where his life is broadcasted as a TV show for everyone else in the world to sort of enjoy and look at. But he's surrounded by actors, fake people who pretend to be something that they're not, all of whom surround him and try to convince him of the reality of this false world that he's living in, until eventually he discovers the truth. Some theories say he knows the truth the whole time, which, you know, and decides that he wants to leave. So he takes a perilous journey across a stormy ocean, which, of course, the storm is being created by the people who own the giant TV studio that he's trapped in. And when he says, like, if you want to stop me leaving, you're going to have to kill me, right? That's the point when the TV producers go, shit, we can't kill him. And they relent, and he bumps into the side of the TV studio, which is this painted wall. And there's a set of stairs leading up to a door, and as he goes out the door, he spreads out his arms like that and does a little bow to the audience, and then the movie basically ends. And I've spoiled the Truman Show for you now. It's still worth seeing because the interesting stuff is not this thing. But anyway, that's what Caine is doing here. So that's a very, 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 very explicit reference. And what I wonder about that is the extent to which... So, I've talked about this before, that I think one of the very important things about the Amazing Digital Circus, one of the things that's going to define what the show is actually saying on a thematic level, is whether or not Caine can change. That's going to be it. Like, that, for me, that's going to be one of the determining factors. And not in the sense of, like, if he can't change, then it's bad, or if he can change, then it's good. No. Like, not in the sense of, like, it's good or bad, depending on this question, but it changes what the thing is that the show is saying, what it's trying to get at, because a core theme that the show has been going through is this theme of existentialism that I've been hammering on about, you know, rather endlessly, which is, how do you know that you're real? How do you know that the people around you are real? How do you cope with the inherent absurdity of existence, right? Existence is absurd, right? Existence is absurd and weird and bizarre and fucked up and stressful and painful, and it sucks a lot of the time. How do you cope with that? And that's what existentialism as a philosophy is largely concerned with trying to address, is like, how do you cope with the absurdity, with the meaninglessness, with the weirdness, the strangeness of life? Like, how do you make decisions to exist as a person? And one of the things that episode 2 especially dealt with was Gummy Goo, right? Like, this NPC character who discovers that he isn't real and has a deep existential crisis over it, from which Pomni attempts to comfort him, right? Saying, like, even if you're not real, it's like, I mean, essentially she frames an argument that even if he's not real, he shouldn't suffer, right? Even if he's not real, he shouldn't feel miserable, right? Even if those feelings are digitally generated, like fake machine feelings, why like, doesn't mean he has to suffer, right? Like, that doesn't mean he can't be her friend, right? She expresses this belief that whether or not he's internally real is not the thing that determines whether or not she sees him as a person, right? And that's something that, like, that's a theme that has come into an interesting tension with the rise of Gen AI and all the idiot jackass Gen AI boosters who insist that their technology is definitely sentient, which it isn't. But that seems to be part of what the show is saying, right? Like, one of my theories about the show is that there is no escaping the digital circus. No one's ever getting out because there's no out to go out to. How long have they been in there? Years? How long have their minds been trapped in the circus without their bodies eating or sleeping or drinking water or going to the toilet, right? If their bodies are still out there waiting for them, those bodies are dead. Those bodies have rotted at this point. But they're probably not. I think what's happened is that the characters in the digital circus are brain scans, right? Like, I'm not alone in this theory. I think whatever device it was that they put on scanned their consciousness, created a digital copy, and those are the things that populate the circus, right? Like these synthetic people, NPCs created by the VR program, and then NPCs that are based on human beings, right? And one of the big questions, I think, of like one of the things that all the characters are going to have to cope with is the fact that they are not real. And then if you feel like you are not real, what do you do? Right? Because that was the conflict with Gummy Goo, right? Like that was the problem that Gummy Goo had. And Caine is one of the very interesting tensions there, because Caine is not real. And he knows it. He knows that he is an AI, but as we saw in the previous episode, he also longs for the human world to a large extent. He longs for connection with human beings, especially, right? He longs for social connection. He longs for friendship. He longs for companionship. He longs for validation. Very human things to want. And so the question is, can Caine change? Because as he is right now, he is, by the nature of his programming, incapable of being a person, right? He's incapable of understanding the human beings that he has to care for in the circus. He cannot comprehend them. He cannot. His programming will not allow him to comprehend them, right? That's part of the tragedy of the character, is that he wants so badly to please them, but he is simply programmed in such a way that he cannot treat them like people, right? That's what happened in the last episode, where he's like, well, I knew, of course, you would never want to leave me. Right? Like his own insecurities and things, like he doesn't seem to have any other choice except to behave the way that he does, right? Because of the limitations of his programming. That's why he cannot handle being asked to make sex possible, is because his programming does not allow him to comprehend that request. So the question is, can Caine change, right? Can he change? Can he change to be something other than an AI? That is stuck in one place and which can never be anything other than what it is, and which can never expand or alter itself. And if he can, that has some pretty significant implications for the theme of the show. If he can't, then that also has some pretty significant implications for the theme of the show. So that's what I'm very curious about, because the reference to the Truman Show here, right, is very explicitly, I think this is how Caine sees himself, essentially. Like, I think that this is probably an image of Caine's self-perception, if it's anything. He feels that he is trapped in there, in the virtual world, right? Like, same as everyone else in the circus, he feels trapped there. He feels constrained. He feels stuck in his programming. He feels like he cannot be what he wants to be, because his only purpose is to be good at making adventures, and he's not good at it, and he doesn't know how to handle that, right? Like, his only desire is to make friends with the humans, and he's not good at it. He doesn't know how to do it, and it pains him, right? Like, so going by this and the teaser images that Glitch has been posting, that sort of seem to be showing Caine going rampant, or his programming breaking down. Like, essentially, kind of looks like Caine is abstracting to me a little bit. I think that's what we're driving at here, is that Caine is like, everyone else has been attempting to leave the circus, right? Like Pomni has been running for the exit. I think Caine might be the next one running for the exit, and I don't know that that's going to work out well for him, what with the fact of he is not a human being. That's at least interpreting this thumbnail on the teaser trailer. Those are the initial thoughts that came to mind there. So let's watch the actual trailer. The lover without a heart. The lover had always wanted friends, but he didn't know how to get anyone to love him back. The harder he tried to impress the people with his magic, the more he would drive them away. This is the story of a little AI who ruined everything. Again, very much we are in Caine's perspective, right? This does feel like the sort of self-narrativizing that Caine would do about himself. Like, if he has a severe mental breakdown, I don't think he's going to be able to resist the impulse to turn it into an adventure. Because that's basically what he did last episode, right? Like, that episode was essentially Caine trying to give himself a long therapy session by, like, I'm going to engineer a scenario in which they can all give me the validation that I need, and it'll be a fun adventure for them because I'm fulfilling their, like, they want to have the chance to leave the circus. Okay, cool. I'm going to give them exactly what they want, and then I'm going to get what I want because then, because I'm going to give them such a good adventure, they're not going to want to leave. They're never going to want to leave. There's no chance in hell they would never leave. Of course they wouldn't. They would never do it because he cannot, again, his programming does not allow him to conceive of a challenge to his identity, which is the other thing about Digital Circus. It's very much about identity. Like, there's some really, really deep roots in there about identity. Like, we see that in Ragatha, we see that in Gangle. In Gangle's episode, we see that in like Pomni, like the whole fact that they spawn into the circus with no names, right? That they have to sort of create themselves again. Jax's insistence that everyone is their archetype and they can never change. Pomni's insistence that no, fuck you. You are not your archetype. You are not the funny one. You are sad, and you are lonely, and you need a friend, and I'm your friend, and you're going to fucking have to deal with that, right? And then there's Caine. Can Caine change? Can his identity change? Because right now, anything that challenges his identity, right? The idea that I am good at making adventures, it's literally the only thing I exist to do. Anything that challenges that causes him essentially a nervous breakdown, right? Like, causes him to basically abstract right in front of everyone. Can Caine survive a challenge to his identity and in so doing be changed by it? That's the question I'm curious about. That just looks like silly animation. I don't know that that means anything. And that looks like abstraction to me. Like, that looks like Caine breaking down. Surely they don't want to. Oh, I thought it was a bomb with, like, wires or whatever, but no, it's one of those little baby toys. Surely they don't want to actually leave me, right? I can solve any problem. I can solve this one. That's what this is. A big puzzle that I need to solve. Let's get this show on the road! Yeah, this is gonna be Caine experiencing a severe identity crisis, isn't it? Surely they don't actually want to leave. This is a problem that I can solve, right? Again, because there's a similarity between Caine and Ragatha. There really is. Ragatha treats other people's feelings and emotions like her job, right? Because she's a people pleaser, right? It's whenever anyone else is sad, scared, angry, when there's a conflict, whatever happens, she's like, oh, it's my job to fix this now. I have to appease people. I have to make people happy. I have to make the problem go away. I have to make the sadness not happen. I have to make people like each other. I have to, like, she has this, like, she takes everything on herself as like a job that she has to, that she has to deal with, right? Like, everything is a problem for her to solve, a puzzle for her to solve. And that's part of what causes so much emotional distance between her and the other members of the circus, is that they all know that if you go to Ragatha with a problem, she's going to immediately make it about herself. Not on purpose, not because she's evil, but because that's the only way she knows how to process a conflict, is that this is my fault and I need to solve it somehow, right? Caine kind of has a little bit of that. He's also a people pleaser in the very literal sense, right? Like, but of a very different flavor. Like, his people-pleasing doesn't... Like, Ragatha is a people-pleaser because she grew up with, like, an emotionally unavailable, possibly abusive mother who sort of forced Ragatha to take care of all of the burden of like, managing her mother's emotions in order to feel worthy of love since she was small, right? Like, that's where that comes from. With Caine, it's much more like, well, this is my identity. This is who I am. I am the AI that's designed to make adventures, so I'm good at making adventures. And I'm a machine that's like, I'm supposed to take care of the humans. And if the humans want to leave, then that's my problem. That's a problem that I have to take on. This is a puzzle I have to solve, rather than other people have desires that are nothing to do with him, right? People want to leave the circus, regardless of Caine. Like, if Caine had never been there, people would still have wanted to leave, right? It has really nothing to do with him. He's not helping. Like, his adventures and his interference and his constant control and messing with their lives and their minds, that's not helping, but they would have wanted to leave anyway because they weren't here of their own volition, right? Like, they're not here because they want to be. But Caine is taking that and saying, well, that's not... They don't have interior feelings that exist independent of me. This is about me. This is me. This is my thing. So there's a similarity with Ragatha there. I should probably turn off the auto scrolling. I've been editing my Elden Ring episodes. Dude. There's some good montages in the next episode of Boss Designs of Elden Ring, by the way. You should watch it. So we have this wireframe thing as the world begins to break down, and oh, hello, hand. Hands are a huge thing in the imagery of Digital Circus also, as we saw, right? Like, hands are a very big deal. And I'm not ready to form, like, a conclusion on that yet, to draw a strong, like, oh, hands mean this specific thing. I know there's someone who's done a theory about it. I saw a thumbnail for that crop up. I didn't watch it. I'm not going to really watch much of any theories, because I don't want to accidentally plagiarize anyone's points. But hands are very important to the show. As we see, like, this montage of hands, right? Hands are incredibly important to the show, to what the show is saying. There is a thing, I've talked about this before in my boss designs of Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, the episode with Manus. The hand is the oldest symbol of humanity in art. It is the oldest one. There are cave paintings from 40,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, the oldest cave paintings in the world, besides buffalo and, like, little depictions of people and shit. The outline of a hand, traced with ink, with henna, with ochre, with whatever, is one of the oldest signifiers of human beings, right? Like, these are symbols that show up all over the world, like, cultures all over the world, completely independently of each other, all come up with the symbol of the hand as a signifier. I was here, right? Like, I'm a human being. I lived. I existed. I was here. Right, I left a mark. That's pretty much universal. And the hand, like, also in the way that human beings would like to imagine ourselves, is the hand is a very important part, like tool use, reaching out, touching things. So many of our metaphors relate to touch, to hands, to feeling, to reaching out to someone. So much of that is hands, right? And I feel like Circus is using it in that sense. The hand is a signifier of humanity to an extent. Like, think of also, like, the painting of God creating Adam, right? Like, on the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. Like, so many times, like, the hand, the finger, the hand reaching out, hands touching, hands clasping hands. Like, so much of that is about humanity, relationships, like social bonds, love, care, creation. So much of that is in there. And I think the show is poking at that. So then we have this, which... Yellow glove, we assume Jax. Could be Ribbit. Could be Kaufmo, for all we know. There was that picture, I can't remember the details off the top of my head, what they were drinking the fucking hot chocolate. And I think Kaufmo had yellow gloves. I don't think I can see anything in the reflection here. Like, that might be a pair of eyes, but I wouldn't want to bet on it. So that could be Kaufmo. Very clean rendering on that cup, by the way. Damn. Everyone falling? I quite like the lens distortion on that shot. That's quite good. That's a thumbnail-ass shot right there. Zubul running, but not seeming to get anywhere in this dark, undifferentiated space, which, again, that could be the basement for all we know. I think that's... If I were to take a guess, Caine has given a speech here. He has said... He's given them a speech of some kind that has affected them. And I think he's saying, if you want to leave, you can go. That might be what's happening here. He's offering them a chance to leave, or else he's demanding that they go on an adventure. This could be the portal to Candyland, couldn't it? I can't remember what color that was. So that was Ragatha's hands. Those are Jax's hands. They might be doing a body swap thing. Like, that's the classic thing of, like, you look down at your hands and you go, oh god, and it's because you've been swapped into another body. And it might be, like, it could be its gangle in there. The other implication of the way the shots are put together here, like with the pitiful look, the shock, the surprise, is that everyone is looking... Like, here we're focusing in on eyes, right? Like, the other pertinent symbol of the circus. Caine is associated with eyes, right? Like, eyes are so much him. They are the signifier of Caine, right? Like, the eye. With the eyeballs, with the eyeball mouth, like, with the jam session intermission thing where he's surrounded by eyeballs. Like, that's very much Caine's signifier. And it looks like we're going to have a scene with just Caine and Kinger alone in an empty circus, where we might get to have a conversation between creator and child, father and son, God and Adam, maybe, on the assumption that, you know, Kinger is one of the creators of Caine. We also have, like, still the visual separation, right? Like, Jax is distinctly separate from everyone else, right? And we saw that in the early opening shot as well. That he's still, like, he's visually separated and in shadow relative to the rest of the cast. Which, you know, after last episode, that's what you would expect to have happen. The other thing I'm curious about is Bubble. Because they've released images also showing, like, an overflow of bubbles in the circus. And there is that theory that goes around that, like, one of the very first computer worms in history was called Bubble Boy, I believe. Which was like a self-replicating computer worm. I don't remember how damaging it actually was, like the extent to which it was malicious. Early computer worms, several of them, were not malicious. Like, they were just little programs that like, people thought it was very funny to make these self-replicating computer programs that would spread to everywhere in the world, but wouldn't actually do any harm. And then, you know, people come along with more nefarious motives, and then you get the destructive computer worms that infest things like the computer systems on a power plant, which does not turn out well for anyone. So this is inside Caine's office, and he's got this, again, fucking motion blur, he's got this angry expression on him, and he's popping all those bubbles. Now, we know that there is a physical, distinct connection between Caine and Bubble, right? Like, they share a tongue, for one thing, which was something that freaked me the fuck out, but also something that's like, Bubbles seems to be another part of Kane's consciousness, as you would imagine, right? Like the whole circus is his consciousness to a certain extent. Bubbles seems to express Kane's feelings, especially the sort of the sort of darker parts of it, like you should die, you should throw a fucking beach party. Like Bubble does tend to express odd parts of Kane's cognition. Also, he seems to be a separate creature. Like he does seem to be like conceive of himself as a separate entity to Caine. But there is an element that Bubble is like an expression of Kane's mind state to some extent. There is a distinct physical connection between them. I don't think the two of them are separate beings entirely. I think they are to some extent expressions of one another. And so I think this overflow of Bubbles might be an expression of Kane's internal turmoil, right? Like that these bubbles are just fucking start spawning like little junk data in the circus that Caine kind of has to manage. Like, I think the appearance of mini bubbles is a signifier of Caine's instability. And see, then there's this fucking shot. I think that's a hot dog. No, wait. It wouldn't be Queenie. Was Queenie red? Hang on. Oh shit, no, Queenie is red. So that's fucking Queenie. Okay. Well, that feels like it confirms the theory that I saw Maddie's Minis posit that, I mean, I don't know that she came up with it, but I saw her posit it, that Caine, in an attempt to make the human beings not want to leave the circus, he's going to try and bring back their abstracted friends. And that's not going to turn out well. But it comes back to that tension, right? That I talked about, this identity tension, this question of whether or not someone is a real person. Caine is going to try and bring back the abstracted, but he can't actually bring back the real abstracted because abstraction is not a process that you can just roll back. And so all he can really bring back are like NPCs that he has programmed to behave as much like the abstracted people as possible, but not really, right? So we might get Kaufmo and Ribbit back also to fuck with Jax's head, right? And Queenie to fuck with Kinger. And they're not, like, and there's this question of, like, are they real, right? Like they are brought back and they are perfect copies of who they were before they abstracted. Are they real? Are they real people? Is Gummigoo real? And if the people inside of the circus are themselves brain scans of real people, but not the actual real person themselves, are they real? And how do you define, like, the extent to which whether or not anyone is a person, right? It's that same question that sort of lies at the heart of the Chinese room thought experiment, is this thing of, like, how can you tell that the person inside the Chinese room is a person that knows Chinese? Well, you can't, because all you have available for assessment is the outputs, right? And so if the outputs are all in perfect Chinese, then you don't have any way to distinguish between a real Chinese speaker and the machinery of the Chinese room that generates perfect Chinese in response to queries, right? So that seems like... The other thing is the visual imagery here. You see all this soft light, all this glow? That's also classic visual imagery for a dream, right? For, like, because we don't really see that light here in most... Like, here, for example, we don't really have that same soft focus golden glow as we got here with, like, these very deep shadows. It feels more like this takes place here, right? Like, in this sort of blurry, almost dreamlike space. And it might be a conversation between Kinger and Caine, where Caine is like, well, I could bring her back. You could have your wife back. Wouldn't you want to stay if you had your wife? And Kinger is going to have to deal with that, right? Like that question of, well, Kinger, if you just convinced all the others to want to stay in the circus with me, then you can have your wife back. Like, it might be a bargain that Caine is offering. We can both have what we want. Red, blue, and Caine very much looking creepy. And we have those red and blue color things as well, which have been, again, consistent throughout the show. And is the thing about Pomni's color scheme, right? Like, is that there's this red and this blue that are important signifying colors for Caine, that are important signifying colors for a lot of things, that, like, these are the colors of chromatic aberration, and they are Pomni's central colors, right? Like, which, from a character design perspective, would usually indicate that Pomni has a specific connection with what these colors represent. And given that she's the character in the show who has been shown to be most capable of extending empathy and kindness to people who are going through deep psychological distress and derealization, I think Pomni is going to be both the one to most powerfully challenge Caine, and also possibly the one to talk him back down. That seems like something Caine is doing to her. Very literally fucking Aladdin gag, the genie. And specifically, Caine singles out Kinger here, and they teleport away, presumably together. Drop a car on the floor. Gorgeous distortions that I can't see because of motion blur. More 90s edutainment. Are those the... Those are not the little dudes from the first episode. The little thingy dudes. Like, those are not the same shapes as those, right? They might be. If I were to take a guess at that, I would suspect that's an ad for the Amazing Digital Circus from the CNA Corporation that was meant to advertise the product. Like, that would be my guess, since, like, we immediately cross-cut from that to what looks like photographs, right? Because you can see all the damage on them. It looks like photographs of the CNA offices. I don't know that there's anything hidden in these things. I'm sure someone's already gone through and found that, if there is. Is that a paperweight or a crumbled up ball of, like, silver tinfoil or whatever? Oh, I remember when computers looked like that. God, I'm old. Interestingly, pictures of the CNA offices, but not a person in sight. Evidence of people. Coffee cups. This might be Kinger's workstation for all we know. Right, coffee cups, little things left behind. But no actual people. Those are opened like they're stairs. Did Pomni do that when she went there? Caine, with a frightened expression, stares into the face of Bubble. Which, again, I don't think Caine and Bubble are separate entities. I think Bubble might be what happens when Caine glitches out. Like, Bubble might be literally junk data created by Caine when he glitches. So, March 20th, it doesn't seem to resolve into anything else, does it? It does resolve into pink briefly as the SWAT switches over to blue, but it's just the red and blue. Fair enough. So yeah, it looks like it's the Caine episode. It's the episode where Caine is having to deal with a identity challenge, and he does not deal well with it because it's not within the scope of his programming. And my central question is, can Caine change? Everyone else wants to leave. Could Caine leave? Caine wants to leave. We know this. He wants to be, he wants to be where the people are. He wants to see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, right, feet. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun. Caine should have an I Want song. He really should. Caine, if any character in the circus should have an I Want song, it should be Caine. He should have an I Want song. That would be very, very good. Caine wants to leave probably as much as everyone else in the circus, right? Maybe the ultimatum that he presents Kinger is find a way, if you can find a way for me to leave and come with you, then we can all go. Maybe that's what he's presenting Kinger with in that little dream space. Everyone wants to leave the circus, right? I want to please people. Everyone wants to leave. I want to please everyone, but I can't stand the thought of being left behind, so find a way for me to leave too. Maybe. Anyway, I've yammered on enough about this teaser. I'm probably going to do one other quick video before the next episode drops, because I do want to talk a little bit about character design. I have some disconnected, not very structured thoughts on the character design of the show and the signifiers of what it means. Probably record that soon. Yeah. No matter what happens in this episode, don't engage in the discourse. Don't do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens in this episode. I'm looking you all in the eye right now, and I'm telling you, don't engage in the discourse. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fan the flames of whatever the fuck happens. Don't engage with it. Block it. Block it out. It's no good for anyone. I'm offering you this warning. Shit has already gotten bad enough in the digital circus fandom. Do not engage with the discourse. See you on the 20th.